Hi, this is Adama, and today I'm presenting my program, which is Lab02. So before I explain my code, let's run the program and see. When I run the program from here, I see it tells me this program draws a half arrow by taking the following dimensions: base height, width, base height and width, and head width. No negative numbers allowed, please. And now it prompts and asks me enter arrow base height. So let's say 15. Enter arrow base width. So let's say 4. And lastly, arrow head width, say 6, and it draws me a nice half arrow. But there's another thing I wanted to point out here. If you notice, okay, run again. Okay, say I was, a curious person, and I was, maybe I was careless and I want to test a program. I put a negative number in, -5. So it asks me the same question: enter arrow base height. Try again, -4. So it asks me the same question over and over until I put a reasonable value, because there's no negative numbers, negative dimensions. Even 0, I refuse to take 0, because if it's 0, that means there won't be any any error. So 0 doesn't work as well. So let's say 12. Yes. So now width, say 3. And last thing I took care of was the width. The head width should be bigger than the base width. So let's try 3 and 3. Enter. So it asks me again. So until I get something bigger, like 4, that it draws the arrow for me. So now let's go back to the code and see what's happening. Okay. So like Professor Falu said, it's a good habit to plan your program before even starting to write it. So before I start to write this code, I thought about how would I draw an arrow. So I came up with two main parts. The first one is drawing the base, like the stick, and the second is the head of the arrow. So drawing the stick is easy. I asked myself, I would need to draw a line, so meaning drawing the stars like line by line. So I would have 1 line, 2 lines, 3, 4, 5. And since it's repeated, I can say it's a loop drawing lines. And each line, since it's repeating the same star, pointing the same star over and over, so that would be a loop as well. So I figured out that the stick, the base of the arrow would be 2 nested loops. The outer one being like here, starts drawing the baseline by the line by line with an outer loop, and each line is an inner loop. So the outer loop is the height of the baseline, and the inner loop is the number of points. The same thing goes for the head. So what I did here is now the head, same technique, but I reduce the number of stars each time I go back to start again. So let's say I started with 8, so next line I would do 7. But how did I do that? I used a while loop starting with the highest number, so arrow head width, starting with that, and then I print each time a full line. And remember, printing a line is like basically using a loop to print all the stars on that line. And when I finish printing the first line, now I go back, I reduce by here, I reduce the head width by 1 and go over and do the same thing again. So that's how I drew the head. But before that, to clear everything out in this program, it's getting slow. I had to declare all the variables and so on, but that's too basic. And to also make sure I don't take negative numbers, I had while. Okay, I use while loop to accept only reasonable dimensions as a length. So while the arrow bed is a negative or a 0, keep asking for the input. So that's how I did that. Same thing for the head being larger than the base. Same thing here. And that's it. Thank you very much.